If I was God, I would make a fake pandemic and I would make everyone stay home. And I would tell them they have to stay 6 feet away from each other. And I would force them to be online and not be able to talk to each other barely at all. And I would do this so that people realized, hey, it's wrong to not see our family. It's wrong to not interact with our neighbors. It's not really so much about right and wrong, it's about what's living and what's not exactly what we should call life. I'm glad to see that Trump is trying to reopen America, at least regionally, so that people can make a living. Some people work from home, apparently. There's been a lot of concepts introduced in the last while. I'm drawing a blank on even giving them words. The universe is a hologram, or electric universe, or there's a bunch of them, a bunch of theories of the universe. And the God particle, for example, seems totally unrelated, and it is. I don't remember. What was it? The Higgs boson? Is that what they called it? I don't even know. They're real good at looking at stuff. Smaller and smaller things, trying to find the devil in the details, basically. The spark of creation. There's a hell of a lot more to it than that, though. In the beginning, I believe God was creating unintentionally, maybe haphazardly, maybe without his right hand talking to his left hand, or he wasn't talking with his wife. They were just building, and he made it strong and she made it beautiful. And the world is beautiful. Nature is beautiful. Getting out in nature, riding four-wheelers, dirt bikes, mountain bikes, going out to the range, playing golf, basketball, being out in the air, being out in nature. That can be outside. Outside is nature. That was the point of a domicile, a place of residence, was to sleep there, have meals, procreate, if not under the stars, and then in the day to go outside and gather, hunt and gather, work, plant, and I don't need to just, when I say things that are obvious, I feel like, what's the point? Why? Why tell people what they already know, other than nobody else? I mean, people don't don't talk about things that are obvious because that often leads quickly to obvious problems. There are obvious problems, and how to solve those is a conundrum because they don't know how. It's not a one person ordeal to do so. It takes actual effort and teamwork. All the world is a stage, and all the people are merely actors, but that's not true. We all write as much as we act. There are people that are nice to each other and other people, but maybe not to you. And maybe you don't understand why, and by the time you even think of standing up for yourself, you've already gotten angry, and they had no incentive to be kind to you before you got tired of it, so what's their incentive after you get tired of it? People work off of incentives. The idea of being the king that people need instead of the one they want, or the one that you want to be, was a topic brought up recently. I was thinking about that a lot. Just the words more than anything, and not even. I mean, a king should want to be the king that people need. That should be what the king wants to be. The king should be of the people. And prioritize citizens based on merit, but make sure all are tended. Like a shepherd. How do you do that? I mean, I know my faults, I think. I figure you know yours. So you probably don't need me to tell you what you already know, and I don't need you to tell me what I know. But what's good about you, that may be something that you need to hear. The whole truth of being a king isn't as simple as having groups of people and their special interests. And they all do have unique interests. That's how you categorize them, what their interests are, and how they identify, and where they stand on different issues. But when a king is the one handling all of that, they either have direct recourse or no recourse. It's like praying. Like, geez, I pray my message makes it to God. Gets through all the prayer filters of the angels, and to tutelary spirits or whatever. And then it's like, it's the same thing. Even with your politics, I mean, you can talk to your town politicians who, you know, don't seem to know much unless it has to do with something to do with your property in your town. The state is dealing with like 50 towns and doesn't really care about too much unless it's good for re-election. And like right now some states could be like, oh, I'm going to reopen the state, and then the federal government could be like, well, no, you're not, because I think that's what they're doing now. So the full strength of the presidency is far beyond what anyone knows. It essentially is a kingship role. If the president flexes every single muscle on his body, the body of his office, then he's essentially a king, making decrees, which he doesn't do much of because he doesn't need to, and that would be an aggressive stance to take. Other presidents did so. Obama was known for his, I got a pen and I got a phone, meaning he could write executive orders and call people and give orders. I suppose as president, was he a president? I guess. But I'm actually thinking about the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims. That's what I'm thinking about. Not the Muslims so much, or the Christians. In each religion, there's subcategories and dividing lines along which there's no agreement. I say this with certainty, despite not knowing the difference between the Hasidic Jews and the Orthodox Jews, and where the political Zionism comes in there, or where that idea fits. I was watching Social Network last night about Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg